the song that is played where everybody is on the chair, everybody at going to my mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. Last night on the television, I was on a telephone, rapidly rising, and with I don't know. COVID has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's lives reflected in the NHEI. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him in the friggin' season. He'll be gotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. NATO's purpose is to defend against aggression. Let me make that near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway, my mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are you?
I'm just gonna keep playing.
I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here?
It's great.
Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. I don't think as the idea that the political coverage I want to thank and recognize Dr. John Kingersong. Good song. I can't get this to function at all. My mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are you? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea.
That is good stuff. Wow. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast tonight. I'm actually broadcasting live, streaming live. I don't know if anybody's going to come in here. I've got a couple new subscribers probably about 6 or 7 over the past week. So starting to pick up. How are you, Waza? You're in here with me tonight.
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'm excited, in fact, which is kind of unusual.
Yeah. So I had that video pulled up. I don't know even what else. I'll just leave it there for now. You can't see my screen, but it was getting ready to end and the little thumbnails came up. But thank you for sending me that. That lightens up my mood in the times we're going into, let me go ahead and pull up some of the headlines that I mentioned. I go to Drudge Report a lot, even though, most people don't know the history of Matt Drudge. You remember Drudge Report, right?
Oh yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, there was he got popular. He got famous from the whole Monica Lewinsky story back in the late 90s.
Those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah, he was like a janitor somewhere out in California. He ran this little site where all he did, was post links to other news websites. He didn't write any news. He just came up with the site, and if I scroll down here a little bit, dude, the guy gets like billions of hits. It's insane. But he's sort of lost his way from what I've gathered. So he's had 25.6 million views in the past 24 hours, 734 million this month, and 8.5 billion in the past year. So yeah, he's
still rocking.
He's making a pretty penny.
What's the song?
Let me not play that again. Hold on.
Where everybody...
But he used to be sort of unbiased. He sort of started off as right because he was sort of going against the whole Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky stuff. And then he became more mainstream and just posting pretty unbiased. He did his best to post both sides, but probably in the last couple of years, probably during the Trump administration, he's been sort of going towards the left and not quite as fair. Just a lot of posting, to MSNBC, CNN, the big players. So, a bit disappointed. So, but I don't know. Where do we start? I know we pre-talked. I'm going to let you sort of like let me let you go here for a minute or so.
Okay, well, there is so much going on right now, and you're going to find that it's going to get nuttier starting now, probably even tomorrow. There's supposed to be some big event going down tomorrow. I don't know how much stock to put in that. Anytime somebody tries to name a date, I tend to just go, yeah, whatever, because I can't tell you how many hundreds of dates I've heard over the years, and nothing ever happens, right? But tomorrow, all sources seem to say tomorrow's going to be something really important.
Expand
But
on
at any
that.
rate,
Yeah.
well, I wish I could, but I don't know exactly because nobody's saying exactly what may be going down. But it has something to do with what we were talking about before the cast started. There's um, there's an awful lot of talk right now in world politics about the war, particularly about nuclear strikes, both from Russia and
Yeah,
I heard.
it's literally going both ways. Putin's obviously threatening it, or he's been threatening it since the beginning.
Yeah, but
Um,
I hear that's getting worse now. And also, Zelensky apparently, now I don't have any primary sources on this, but I heard that he is requesting to be allowed to do nuclear strikes. Have you heard anything about this?
yeah, let me see if I can find a source on that because, as I mentioned earlier, a number of people on both sides are saying that. So let me go back to Drudge on my side. See if he's Let me see if he's covering both sides. So I know you can't see my screen, but Vlad confronted by insider. Okay, now they're trying to basically say that there's turmoil within the Putin leadership in Russia.
Well, I
So he
heard
was
that
confronted
also.
by an insider over the Ukraine war. U.S. intel finds, and then turmoil within leadership. And then they have like another headline. And these are all links to different articles. Last birthday? Question mark. Fears over successor. God put you in power. I don't know who said that. I'm not going to click on it. But Kremlin allies turn on military leaders. White flags rising. They are in panic, talking about Russia. Then they say nuke over Black Sea would trigger toxic clouds and tsunamis. U.S. UK hold drone drill in Persian Gulf after Iran seizures. That's sort of a separate topic. Navy jet flew across Baltic hours after Nord Stream burst. That's interesting. That's interesting. I wonder if that Navy jet like dropped like a water penetrating missile or something down and blew up Nord Stream, dude. So that's I almost want to click on that one, but and then yeah, because the next headline that I'm just reading the ones at the very top of the site. So let me click on the Navy jet. I know we didn't really talk about Nord Stream ahead of time here, but
Well, I needed a few days to kind of get a feel for what my thoughts are on that because when things like that happen, rumors fly. Everybody did it, right? They're pointing fingers everywhere,
right, right.
and until some of the dust settles and I have a chance to hear from some primary sources,
Well, this is
uh,
this is coming from Yahoo News via Reuters. So
oh, that's a primary source.
Nergis Adatomitis, I don't know how to pronounce the name, Tim Heffer and Phil Stewart, Oslo, Paris, Washington, Reuters. A U.S. Navy reconnaissance aircraft flew near the site of a ruptured Nord Stream 2 pipeline in the Baltic Sea hours after the first damage emerged, according to tracking reviewed by Reuters. A flight, Washington said, was routine. Of course it was. Excuse me. Russia's Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines, 1 and 2, burst on September. I didn't realize it was both.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was just Nord Stream 2.
Nope.
I know it wasn't finished yet, but it was pretty much finished.
Well, yeah, and they were charged with gas too, or at least one of them was.
Yeah, they were
And
pressurized. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Um, so,
That's why they couldn't really make it stop until the gas in the pipeline ran out.
yeah, they said flight data showed a P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol and a reconnaissance plane was over the North Sea at 0003 minutes GMT when Swedish seismologists registered what they later described as a subsea blast southeast of Bornholm Island in the Baltic Sea. The plane, which had flown from Iceland, performed a pattern of regular racetrack-shaped circuits over Poland before breaking away toward the Baltic pipeline area. And then they have like a picture. It's not being shown in the browser. Somebody forgot to put the IMG SRC. It's just like a URL to a picture. The identity of a plane could not be immediately established because the type of rotating ID code sometimes used by such planes, but the Navy confirmed it was an American aircraft when presented with data by Reuters. Yeah, and it goes on and on. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that makes me think a lot of what a lot of people were saying, that maybe the U.S. was possibly behind it, maybe.
Well, like I was saying, until the dust settles, I don't even have a first thought on that, because in the situation in the world right now, it could literally be any party that did it. And everybody's pointing fingers saying every other party actually did do it.
But who really has the capabilities to I mean,
okay, now that's the first point, right?
Yeah.
But even some people will say that Russia did it themselves, and other people are like, that's ridiculous. Why would Russia destroy its own? Well, other people have arguments. Well, that'll raise the prices of the gas, and then he'll make more money on other gas that he's selling and oil and whatnot.
Oh, okay. And to tie into that, when Biden was we're talking to OPEC people just the other day or yesterday, today, I don't know. OPEC joined. They joined Russia. They allied with Russia. So
they cut their oil production too to give a middle finger to the U.S.
by 2 million barrels, right? So, so yeah, it sort of makes you think. I mean, in a way, maybe Russia did it, just so the prices would be raised, and then OPEC would ally with them.
Let's pause there for a moment.
Yeah.
You said you wanted me to go on for a minute, and then I said 3
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, I've been cutting in.
You don't have to apologize. I'm just saying. I want to kind of change the narrative here on this podcast.
Okay.
And you can resist if you want to. I don't care.
No. Go ahead. I pulled this article up randomly, so I went on a tangent. You bring me back.
Now, you know that I've said this many times, and I think you would agree to a large extent that what's going on and has been going on now for years, has come to a head since Biden got in office. And the reason is not because of the Democrats. You can throw terms like Democrat and Republican out the window. You can throw country, national borders out the window.
Like we said, stop with the labels.
You can throw ideologies out the window. Forget all of that shit. Exactly. Throw the labels out the window. What we're talking about here is global elitists that are trying to take total, complete, authoritarian, totalitarian, dictatorial control over everyone and everything on this planet. There is a group of them in every country, in every ideology, in every politics. They're everywhere. And this is the people that we're talking about.
And they're all allied at some level.
With each other, yes.
Right, like the cabal.
Let's call it that, because I've not really found a much better word, and that's usually what people say when they're talking about this particular. They also sometimes say the global elite, the global whatever. Yeah. Okay, so this is the group that I want to bring to the front here, and I want to stop talking about Russia this, and Ukraine that, and America this, and Biden that. Forget all that.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
If anybody doesn't know, Biden's a freaking empty puppet by now.
Well, we saw that in the opening of this video.
They shouldn't be listening to this podcast because it's just going to make them angry.
Right.
Okay. So that said, who blew up the pipeline? Give me an answer right now. Who did it?
I think we did.
The cabal did, damn it.
No, I don't care what you just said. I know you just said what you said, but I still think, let me back up from that a little bit. Even if it was the greater cabal, let me get my quotes in here. Greater cabal, it was. I think it was still initiated by the members of that cabal on our side. Our side,
Okay.
the American side.
So our bomb did it. That's fine. I
Or
don't care.
I'm not even saying like our military or our special ops guys, because I don't think they would have done it. But maybe a splinter group, a group of mercenaries.
Then what are you saying?
Well, that it may have been a splinter faction that was hired to do it. Some mercenary, because that's I watch.
Mercenary has, wait. Some mercenary has the capability to do that. Weren't we just talking about who has the capability to do
Well,
that?
yes,
Right?
but a well-funded mercenary group.
And
I'm not talking about soldiers of fortune. I'm talking about like organized groups of
okay.
maybe even former special
And
operators.
who's funding and outfitting this group?
Us, America,
You're doing it again. What?
along with like I said, it's not okay. I'll give you that.
I'm just pushing.
I know you are, but. And you're reminding me of my brother a lot here. So you're pushing me to clarify my position. So,
Hey, your brother's a smart guy, man. Even though we've got our differences.
yeah, and
I have a lot of respect for him.
let's not get into that right now. But
No, it's not.
but not. I'm not saying it was America alone that funded whatever splinter group that I'm talking about, or a mercenary group I'm talking about. It's but it was America initiated into the cabal, because whatever the cabal is it's more than one. But when it came to the pipeline bombing, I think it was the people on the American side of this group that said, let's do this.
Okay, I'll give you that because I don't really care.
But it was still a
particularly.
part of a cabal plot as a whole, you know.
You're entitled to your opinion, and I say your opinion doesn't matter. No, I'm just kidding.
Nobody's opinion matters really in the grand
No,
scheme of
I'm not
things.
saying
No,
that. I
no,
was just,
I'm not. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but
I was just ripping at you. What I'm saying is,
in the grand scheme of things, none of our opinions matter.
in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter who was the country or the group or what ideology made that bomb blow that pipeline up, because behind it is the same group of people. These are all theatrics for them to manipulate what goes on around the world so that they can get closer and closer to total control. So if a particular act happens through an American group, that doesn't really matter to me. That's what I mean when I say it doesn't matter, because it's all the same group of people doing the same thing, trying to get control.
Hey, look there.
Okay.
Look there on the screen.
Right? I got you.
The last few times that I did these live streams, they never showed up live. They were always delayed by like 30 minutes or more. But there it is, live right now.
Nice.
I don't
All
I don't know if anybody's listening. Let me click on it.
Look there on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I got you.
The last few times.
Turn
I
down
did
my
these live
volume
streams-
here. Okay, sorry about
Yeah, we're
that.
going to get some feedback or something.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm going to continue here for a
No,
moment.
go
since
ahead.
since I've got the mic.
It's all yours.
There's so much talk right now about nuclear war. The Ukraine's asking apparently for permission for nuclear strikes. Putin has been upping the game with the nuclear threat. He's now apparently going to hold tribunals and prosecute prisoners under war crimes against humanity. This is another thing that I've heard, again, not from a primary source. These are all so recent that I'm not going to put anything out there as fact. These are things that I've been hearing the last couple of days that I'm still looking into. But the point being, this is all a theatrical stage upon which the cabal is manipulating us like chess pieces. They're moving us around with their most favorite tool, which is fear. If the world is saying a nuclear strike is imminent, the mainstream media is saying it's imminent, they're talking about Putin and Zelensky and blah, blah, nuclear this, and the threat is real and all that, I can tell you right now it's not going to happen. Why? Because they're saying it's going to happen. That's a fear tactic. And it's the same with a lot of other things. Oh, the financial system's going to collapse. Well, I believe that one's true. It is going to collapse. But did you know there's a whole other financial system that's being put together right now? And again, I have to reiterate, these are not things that I've vetted yet, but that's why I was a little reluctant to do this cast tonight, because normally I can speak from vetted sources and primary information, but tonight I'm mostly talking off the cuff over the things that I believe are true about what I'm hearing from deep sources right now.
Let me cut in here a little bit, because this cuts into a conversation I had earlier tonight with that crypto guy that I mentioned to you. He mentioned the BRICS. You familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa.
Yeah.
And supposedly he mentioned them coming up with a completely different financial system. And I know after the initial lockdowns, the initial sanctions against Russia, Russia, when we cut them off from the SWIFT system, they talked about creating their own system and everything. Is that sort of what you're getting at there?
Well, now there's a connection that I'm not sure about yet. What I'm talking about specifically is what people may have heard, because it's, in my opinion, just now starting to become known by more and more people. That's called the QFS, the Quantum Financial System. I don't know if that's what you're talking about with BRICS. I have no idea. I don't know that much about BRICS or the financial system.
No, BRICS is more of a traditional alternative to the American financial, or the American-based financial system, or whatever. It's just it's a different set. It's a different set of countries who are the leaders of it.
It's probably not the same thing. My understanding so far, after the last few days of some heavy research, as quick as I can, because there's so much to cover and I can only go so deep in a few days, especially when I'm working.
Okay, I just pulled up crypto financial system. Is that what it's called?
No, QFS, quantum financial system. My understanding is it's based on XRP. That's one of the...
okay, no, I have that pulled up here on my screen. Again, you can't see it, but quantum financial system preparing for the biggest. It's cryptowatt.com.
Based on, I believe, on XRP. Is that what it is?
Let me click on the article here. Hold on.
Would you call that a crypto protocol?
No, I'm familiar with XRP. That's Ripple, isn't it?
Yes, that's exactly it. Would you call that what, a crypto protocol or something?
Yeah, it's basically a blockchain. From what I remember of Ripple, is Ripple really wanted to become sort of the leading.
That's what quantum financial system is. That's it becoming the leading.
Yeah, it was wanting to become like a leading financial model to replace the old SWIFT system.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right. Okay.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
So continue on that.
This is a worldwide financial system. So the global elitists, the cabal, and all the powers in the world are talking about wanting to do their own crypto, but theirs is geared for control, right down to the granular level of the individual. Things are not anonymous. Transactions are not anonymous, and they can track you down to the individual, and they can lock your finances up and do whatever they want to with it. The QFS is almost the exact opposite of that. It's a worldwide financial system that's the complete opposite, and it is this close to being implemented. It's already being used, from my understanding, in certain parts of the replacement of the SWIFT system. They're already doing this.
Okay. So are you pro? Are you pro quantum financial?
Well, within a couple of days, how much can I really know?
No. I understand that, but again, I know you can't see my screen, but I have a quote here on this article, and again, I don't know the validity of this article, but I have a quote here. According to the IMF, which I don't trust, IMF World Bank, it says, right, quantum computers can revolutionize industry in fields that require significant computing power, including modeling financial markets, designing new effective medicines and vaccines, and empowering artificial intelligence, as well as creating a new and secure way of communications. In parentheses, quantum internet.
Just for a second. I have absolutely nothing that says that the word quantum in QFS has anything to do with quantum computers.
Okay, but right after that quote, the very next paragraph of this article says the quantum financial system uses blockchain technology to democratize wealth creation and quantum cryptography to keep your money safe.
Okay, so that might be a connection. Quantum cryptography in terms of securing that system, because my understanding is it is completely impenetrable, unhackable, et cetera, which I have just my gut always says
I know.
whatever. You and I both know what we think about something is impenetrable.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was just going to say.
But let's not go there, because the whole point of it is, be ready for this, that they are going to be able to do instant transactions, number one. Number two, it will be a one-to-one-to-one correspondence to all countries' currencies.
How does that?
So
No. Let's stop there. How does that work? One to one across all?
What I'm saying is, like, $1 isn't going to be 40,000 pesos or whatever. They're talking about one-to-one-to-one-to-one-to-one
Across all of the systems, because like Russia's right now is like 60 rubles to $1.
Again, remember, this is several days of my best efforts to try to understand 20 different topics, so I could be completely wrong on some of these points.
Now, a one-to-one-to-one would be good for the world.
Well, that's the whole point of this. Now, we're segueing into another thing I wanted to bring up tonight. All this fear and panic. Let me just say, number one, yes, there's going to be civil wars and unrest. It may not be near as bad as some people were saying, but there is going to be a transition like this. It's not going to happen easily and overnight. There's going to be there's going to be unrest. Okay, let's just put it that way.
Okay, real quick, but while we're talking about this topic of the financials, have you heard? I got to use the term we talked.
You mean the letter before R?
Yeah, the letter before R movement. There was a thing called Nesara, Nesara, Gesara.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, you're familiar with that.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Because Nesara, which was the National Economic Security and Recovery Act, and then you had the GSARA, which was the Global Economic Security and Recovery Act. Right. If you go to the national one, that was actually an act. It's written. It's in like the congressional, and I don't know if it's like the Senate or the House. I don't know what group it made it into, but that was an actual financial act that was. They tried to pass it at some point, or at least put it into the lexicon or whatever you want to call it of American politics. This was back before 9/11, back before the recessions before the dot-com crash, before the 2007 crash, before the current stuff. They tried to put that somewhat in place where it could be implemented at a moment's notice to be able to, for the NESARA, the National Economic, it was supposed to be just for the United States. So basically, we would go back to like a gold or silver standard on our fiat money systems. Right. And then the GSARA, which is if the whole world started breaking down, you could implement the GSARA system, which would do the same thing, but it would do it across all currencies. It's sort of like what you were getting at. That's what reminded me of this, is what you were saying, how there would be a one-to-one-to-one. I don't know if
it's tied together. Yes,
it's all tied together. Yeah. So again, tangent, but I think Nesara and GSARA is something that I heard about and a lot of my friends heard about, but it never really made the mainstream. It never really got out there.
You're going to hear more about it.
Yes, and I hope so. So I'm going to let you continue here.
Okay. Let's see. To take up that particular thread, I would kind of like to actually just kind of reroute it a little bit, because right now, even though I said that the last few days I've been tracking down about 20 different topics and trying to tie them together and find primary sources and vet something or another, and I'm not having a whole lot of luck, but I've had just enough to be able to say a few things that I can tell you I believe. Don't anybody take this. Don't go out and make your financial investments. Go find this out for yourself. This is just me talking my own belief about what's happening right now. The world fear, the world theater that's going on right now, when everybody says all this politics is here and that war there and nuclear this, and what if I told you, now this is going to sound crazy, but
I doubt that.
That's what we're here for, right? Okay, look, before I say this is crazy, let me just say we're talking about a spectrum from the pure physical world stage and the news and what you're looking at and caring about on a day-to-day basis, all the way to the other end of the spectrum where we enter into UFOs and woo-woo shit. Okay, I'm right somewhere in the middle right now trying to pull the pieces together. That being said, you've heard of the devolution idea, right? And the fact that, let's say the idea, let's not say fact, the idea that Trump is still not president, but commander in chief.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So yeah,
Okay, let's
yeah.
start there real quick and let's get a little bit of background to what I'm trying to pull out of this tonight.
We're getting into some keywords here, you know.
Oh, yeah, so I'll
Be
say the
careful,
orange
be
man.
careful.
I'll say the orange man or the big T.
Okay.
You know, he shut up Cheyenne Mountain, right? Locked it up.
Actually, I'm good. One second before you start this. Let me pull up a picture of him. Put it on the screen here because I actually have to take a quick little bathroom break. But yeah, I got a picture of him up on the screen here.
You're gonna let people look at his lovely visage while you take a break.
It's great. I love, dude. Let me go off on a little tangent before you get into your topic.
Go right ahead. It's your show, brother.
Bookmark your mind where you are now.
All right.
Trump. I think a lot of people on all sides of the political spectrums, again, I hate labels. We both do, but Democrat, Republican, black, white, every race and everything. Everybody on all sides loved him and hated him. Before he ran for president, everybody loved him. After he ran for president, only like the Republican white people loved him or whatever. He was a white supremacist all of a sudden and everything. And then now, after not even 2 years of Biden, everybody wishes he was back. You know, they wish he was here, and we had low gas prices, and we had record low unemployment and everything. So I'm going to leave his picture. I want you just act like it's your show now, and I'll be back when my face comes back on the screen here. Cool.
Oh, you want me to start talking?
Yeah, you just
Okay.
take the show. You're in control now, so just talk about whatever you want. Not when my face comes back, then I'm here.
I am in control.
So I'll
All right.
Okay, it's all yours, man.
I'm going to take these minutes of these airwaves to rap at you.
Okay,
All right.
you go for it.
I'm going to define a couple of terms here real quick that aren't going to get us strikes and whatnot. Let's say, first of all, sheeple. Okay, sheeple is a word that's been knocked around for years. I'm taking that meaning to mean the people who have been hypnotized by the mainstream media and the narratives that are being passed around, and they really don't have any hope of redemption or waking up. These are sort of lost souls that are going to be dragged along by the tides of what's going on right now. Next, we have what a lot of people like to call normies. I'm going to define that to be the normal, typical person around the world who is either has a chance to or is starting now to wake up and take their red pills. They're realizing that there's something way beyond what we're seeing every day that's underlying what's going on. Okay, let's just start with that. The narratives that have been promulgated by every form of mainstream media are starting to break down because the people that are putting them out there only have a one-track mind. They can only think in their own box. Okay, their box tells them you do this, this happens. If we do this, that happens. It's a very engineering type way of thinking, very logical, cold, calculating way of thinking, and they fully believe it. It's like fanatical. They're zealots to their own ideals. Okay, that's good for us because that means they're easy to predict and that we can walk around their box and think outside their box, and we can work on things that surprise them because they don't believe that these things are possible. They only believe what they believe, period. Okay, now the big T started during his presidency. Now this is where things start to get controversial, let's say. A lot of people out there believe that he realized during the time that he was in power that our country had been taken over. We have been infiltrated and taken over by a foreign power. Okay, that started with the so-called uh, vote that went on at that time, and how it was not necessarily. There's words I'm gonna try to be careful what words I use here, but that
Yes,
let's put
please.
let's put it this way: he never conceded the election because of this idea. So you can pretty much take that for what you will.
What have you been
He never,
saying while I was gone?
did you, he never conceded. The big T never conceded. You know why? Because he realized that America had been infiltrated and taken over by a foreign power. We were invaded, and it was a military footing that he changed us to that military footing during right before he exited his office. Okay, a couple of the things that he did, and y'all need to look this up for yourselves. Okay, don't just first of all, don't just believe me. Second of all, don't just say I'm talking bullshit here. Go find out, because this is all part of public record, the things I'm going to talk about now. First of all, he closed up Cheyenne Mountain under the pretext that COVID was dangerous and that we may have been attacked. Okay, well, yeah, that was part of it. And it's probably even true. We're not really going to get into that because we don't want to get strikes on that point either. It doesn't matter. He closed up Cheyenne Mountain. What's in there? NORAD, which is basically the main military nerve center of all of North America.
And Stargate.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's not go there yet.
Okay.
Let's leave the woo-woo out of this whole conversation, because I don't want to turn people off so much that they're not going to listen to the things that are important.
No,
here.
I know. I understand.
That's why I don't even want to talk about UFOs. We're just going to leave that out. Okay? Yeah, I believe. And that's as far as I'm going to go. All right. So what else did he do? He did an awful lot of executive orders. And if you look into certain ones, I'll have numbers here shortly, but there's a website where you can go look up, a government website where you can go look up all the executive orders and the text of every one of them and read them in full for yourself. And they're done by president, by date order. You can read every single one of them. But there are some executive orders that are important along these lines as well. The idea being, and this is what I'm getting at, so let me just quit rambling. The idea being, since he identified a foreign power had taken over and we were at war, he did not concede the you know what. He went on to form his own branch of military control, okay, and that he is still in power as commander in chief. So now we have a president who's a big fat fake, and we have our commander in chief. Our military is backing him and has been since that day. All right, that's the basic idea. Look up the word devolution. It's the only time I'm going to say it in this cast. Okay.
And the letter before R.
Yeah, the letter before R and that group, they faded away to a large extent. And I even lost interest because it seemed like nothing ever came of it. Nothing ever was going to. And I thought, well, maybe it's just a big psyop after all. Who gives a shit?
But they're coming back.
They're not just coming back. They're coming back strong. And this is where a lot of this is coming from right now. Look up 107. Juan. Hello, my name is Juan. 7SAVIN. Yes, it sounds like 107, and there's a reason for that too. Forget all the stuff about him being Kennedy Jr. Just skip all that about body doubles and whatnot. Listen to what he says and see what you think about it. But it's all about this idea. The point being now that this whole thing is starting to come together and actually kick off. And before long, like in a matter of weeks to months, you're going to start seeing more and more of this in the mainstream media. Here's a perfect example. The new owner of CNN, the firings that have been going on there, and the fact that they're starting to put out articles and news that isn't what they would normally be doing as part of the mainstream media, that's a big one. The fact that Elon Musk made his bid and then drug it on until right now, and now he says he's going to, the timing of, yes, I'm going to buy Twitter, is going to deplatform one of their biggest control tools that they have. Twitter was nothing more than a big hypnosis platform, basically to sway everyone's opinions on things. Okay, these things are coming together. You don't see the connection yet, but if you look into it, you'll start seeing more and more of these things that are all connecting. Won't be long. You won't be able to deny it because there's too much of it going on right now, all around the world. Let me ask this: Trump was in office for 4 years. He wasn't even a politician, right? He was a businessman. How many years did people try to put peace into the Middle East? How many people with decades and decades of foreign political knowledge and experience and, peace treaty experience, how many of those people for how many decades couldn't get one single agreement? And in 4 years, it wasn't even him personally. It was somebody that worked for him, his son-in-law. They got 6 peace treaties in the Middle East.
Yeah, Jared Kushner. Yeah. Let me jump back in here a little bit now.
How is that possible?
Yeah,
Think about it. How is it possible?
He made miraculous.
It's not because he's a Jew. I can tell you that much. Although
No,
that helps.
his daughter is with Jared.
If you read his book, you'll see exactly how he did it. But the question is, even though he explains it all in detail in his book, it still is miraculous. It's almost unbelievable.
And moving the embassy to Jerusalem, that was one of the like they said, every president before him, back to, I don't know, was it Nixon or
they all said they were going to,
or Jimmy Carter? They all said they were going to do it, but they never did.
Well, it's a good political thing to say before you get in office. After that, who gives a shit?
Reagan didn't do it. Bush didn't do it. Clinton didn't do it. Bush Jr. didn't do it. Obama didn't do it. Trump did. Immediately he moved it.
There's an interesting.
That says a lot.
There's an interesting fact about that everybody probably knows, at least in the back of their mind. That's biblical, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with what they call the end of the world or the end of times and all that sort of thing. So there was this.
I don't subscribe to end times at all, no matter what.
I don't buy any of that either, and I don't believe it was a valid reason. But it was one of the things they threw out there as to why they couldn't get it done. They were afraid it would cause.
No, I remember there was like a biblical prophecy that says whenever there's peace in the Middle East, it's a sign of end times.
Yeah.
And I remember even at the end of, you remember Yasser Arafat?
Oh, yeah.
The Palestinian PLO guy. I'm a little fuzzy on it, but toward the end of his time on Earth, before the end of his mortal time, he was talking to us and to the West, and a lot of people at that time said that whenever peace is in the Middle East, and that's a sign of the end time. Even the mainstream media was talking about that, and they sort of poo-pooed it. They poo-pooed the talks that were going on, even though they were valid talks. He was actually the Palestinians and the Israelis, and I mean, it goes into so many different things. I mean, and even bringing it back to like Ukrainians and Russians, and and I'm going to go a bit more like personal here. Like I've told you about, and many of my other friends about offline here, about my friend who's from Moscow. He's a young guy, and when the draft got called up, or the mobilization got called up in Russia, he left. He didn't want to fight. He's a young guy. He has no pony in the game, He's just
conscientious objector.
Yeah, basically, yes. He's like the Russian equivalent of an American conscientious objector. If you go back to Vietnam when they were drafting.
That was my reference, right?
Yeah, when they were trying to draft the hippies, my dad and your dad.
Well, my dad was in the Army.
Oh, was he? Okay.
The only reason he didn't go to Vietnam is because my mom was more than 5 months pregnant with me.
Well, that's sort of funny. That's sort of funny because
I just dated myself. Yes, but
no, me too. And we're not. I know you're older than me, but my mom was actually in the Marine Corps during Vietnam. My dad was more of the conscientious objector type. he just didn't care. He just wanted to work. He wanted to support his family. In which he did well, granted, during Vietnam, he didn't really have the family yet, but he was dating my mom. They got married in like 1970. They had my older brother, which in 1972. I was in 75. Yeah. But let's get back to my friend in Russia here, modern day, okay?
Well, let me say one more thing.
Go ahead.
Quick
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that. My dad, when he was in the Army, was part of a signal corps. You know what they did?
Was that like SIGINTs?
No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say signal. That's not right. I forget exactly what it's called now. But basically what they do is they track where explosions are, and they try to triangulate.
Okay, yeah,
So
just by
they'll have
the
several
radio
units
waves.
spread out to where. But the thing is, their life expectancy in Vietnam,
Not very long.
3 minutes.
Wow.
If he had gone, he would be gone.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell me about your friend.
Okay, yeah. So let me sort of start at the beginning. It was probably about I forget the exact date of the mobilization in Russia, but I think it was probably about not this past Thursday, not this last Thursday, 2 Thursdays ago, 3 Thursdays ago.
When they were drafting people.
Yeah, I woke up. I was a bit hungover. I wasn't working my 9 to 5. And I woke up and I came out to my garage for a cigarette, like I'm just going to light right here, right now. And it was probably about 4 in the afternoon here in Kentucky, but he's like 7 hours ahead. So it's like 11 p.m. in Moscow. And he was doing he's a YouTuber. Not super popular. He only has about 4,000 some subscribers on his channel. But hold on. But he had a fundraiser up because you can't PayPal them, you can't send credit cards because of the sanctions. But there's one there's one site that almost all the Russian people are using now. And I went ahead and I was friends with, just to preface this, I was friends with him like before he was even popular on YouTube. I was like his, I don't know, 327th subscriber back before he was monetized, before he was anybody. But and he just did everyday life of Russian people. He was going down to the fast food place. He was like, going out to the river to swim or to the beach or whatever. And it was just all just carefree stuff. And this is even after the sanctions, because, part of his channel name, I'm going to go ahead and give it out. It's called Ivan Sanctioned. Ivan Sanctioned on YouTube. Yeah, look him up. He's a friend of mine, and good guy. But he just tried to do just everyday life. He didn't care about the war. He didn't care about anything. But then, like I said, 3 Thursdays ago from now, it's still Friday right now. It's before midnight. So 3 Thursdays ago, I came out to my garage. Like I said, I lit up my smoke. And I pulled up my phone and went to YouTube, and he has a fundraiser going, and the title of it is like "Help Me Escape Russia."
Wow.
And I was just, yeah, exactly. Wow. So
he certainly wasn't the only one.
Yeah, there were many others, because I follow numerous others. A lot of them were doing the same thing at the same time. But again, him being a friend of mine before all this happened and everything, I went ahead, and I don't have a lot of money. I'm not rich or anything, but I went ahead and gave him $100 that night. He raised like 1,000, I think, through the fundraiser. So I gave him 10% of his fundraiser to help him get out. So just to carry on the story a little bit, he he closed off that live stream. It was a live stream, like we're doing now, and I texted him right after he ended the live stream. I said, man, get out. I hope everything goes well and everything. And he said, yeah, it's only going to take about 24 hours for me to get out of Moscow and get down. He said he was heading into Georgia, the country of Georgia. And a lot of people don't know that. So I have to say the country of Georgia.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah. And then he was going to head over into Turkey. So I expected to hear back from him within the next day. I didn't. And then another day passed.
That's the last I heard, so I'll be interested to hear what's next, too.
Yeah. Then another day passed, and another day passed, and another day passed. So it's like I'm about 3 days in. I haven't heard back from him. And so I was already friends with his girlfriend on Instagram. And so I texted her, like, she doesn't speak any English at all. So I opened up my message to her using Google Translate and from English to Russian. And she responded. She responded in English, but she had to, like, translate her response. So we're going back and forth, probably for... I just wanted to get an update just to see how he was or whatever, but she kept talking to me. We talked for about 3 hours. Again, it was late night here, but it was like 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning there. But she finally sent me pictures that he's okay, everything's good. So that took that whole weekend, it was like a weight on my shoulder because a friend of mine is fleeing his country. He's fleeing his country.
Yeah.
To keep
he's out of the danger zone now, right?
To keep from being conscripted into something he doesn't agree with, to kill people that he has nothing against. So I'm sort of...
He is out of danger, right? He's
in Turkey now. He's good.
Okay. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Turkey. Oh well, there's a hell of a place to flee to.
So, yeah, well, Turkey's actually better than Georgia, I guess. Even
Well, yeah, but that may be. But
price wise, Georgia
wouldn't be my choice if I had a choice.
Yeah, the prices. Well, most of the Russians who left Russia went to Georgia, and the prices have gone through the roof. Like apartments are like more expensive than they are even here in the United States. Like for like a 2-bedroom, you're paying like $1,000 or $1,200 a month in Georgia. So he went to Turkey. Turkey's still cheap. He got like a meal out with his friends. The entire meal was like $8 for 3 people. So
Nice.
yeah.
I'm looking for his.
I'm
looking for a link to his YouTube. I don't see it.
Let me send it to you here. Hold on a second. I'm going to pull it up here right on the live cast. I don't care. So YouTube.
Here I got. Oh, is it Sanctioned Ivan?
Sanctioned Ivan. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yep, got it.
And
he's
he's such a good guy, man. I mean, he's just so down to earth, and he just doesn't want to be a part of the fight. It's sort of a millennial thing. I guess he's young and everything, but I don't blame him. Don't get in the middle of it. Don't be pulled into what you're got. Like if I know me and you, we've aged out of the selective service system. The selective service, and that's what I sort of connect that to. And I told him that, like, selective service here in the United States, it's like every able-bodied man between 18 and 45. We're above 45 now. So we're not going to be called up. But if I was one of the people who would be called up, and I didn't agree with the action, I would leave too, dude. I would go to Mexico or Canada, to get out of here,
Yeah.
So I sort of want.
All right, let's move on now. Where should we go now?
I don't know, man. we're about an hour in, and we're still live streaming. So.
Well, this particular conversation could go on for 2
I
or 3
know,
hours
I know.
because I have a lot of things to bring out, and if we don't get it all in this one,
Well, like I said,
I would,
let me continue with my friend real quick. He's good. He's out of Russia. He's in Turkey. His girlfriend's good. She's a woman, so she's not going to be drafted or whatever. But she's trying to get enough money to be able to join him in Turkey. They have two big, giant, fat cats that they need to get out of Russia, but they had to get vaccines for the cats. The cats had to be quarantined. So once the quarantine's over for the cat, she's going to be flying from Moscow to where he is in Turkey. So let's go ahead. You take over again for a second.
well, I don't know how long you want to drag this on, but what I'm thinking is,
As long as you
if
want. So
if I can't get all this out tonight, and I kind of doubt that we will because we tend to meander a little bit, but let me try.
we're live streaming. I'm going to let you take over for a bit again.
Okay, I'm going to try to tie a few things together because I've mentioned several topics that don't really seem to have any connection. So I'm going to kind of draw one here. The quantum financial system, the idea of, well, I said I wouldn't say that word again. The idea that we still have a commander in chief as well as a president, and the idea that he is continuing to drain the swamp, not just in this country, but around the world. Some of the peace deals that he brokered, not just in the Middle East, but some of the other countries that he has talked to, it seems to me that a lot of the leaders of those countries aren't necessarily the villains that we may have made them out to be here in these United States.
What's the song?
But a lot of them may be a little more along the lines of, we would love to see the corruption gone around the world, just like you want to see it gone in the US. And if you don't take it out around the world, that it's never going to go away fully. So let's say he's kind of gone into hiding, so to speak, and that he's been working with the letter before our folks, that he may actually be tied deeply into that group, if not even a leader. And maybe that's exactly what that's all about. He has control of the military still to this day. When he decided that this country had been invaded, look this up. Look up the Law of War manual. This is a DoD Department of Defense manual called the Law of War. And when you discover that your country's been invaded, you can take over the military, create your own surreptitious government with the military behind you, and you have to wait. Get this: you have to wait a minimum of a year before you're allowed to move on that enemy. You have to give them time to declare themselves. But after a year, you can go ahead and use the full force of the military to take care of business. Well, it's been a year and 8 months now. Why would they wait that long? Several reasons why. Let's just say, if he had done this a year ago, how many people in this country do you think would have, let's be careful of the wording here again. How many people in this country do you think would cause a lot of unrest and not believe, and there would be major, major problems? But if you give them a year or more to see for themselves what that enemy is doing to this country and realize for yourself, wait a minute, how can they completely ignore all these issues? How can they seem to be working specifically against their own country from the top down? How can that be? And you finally start to realize maybe there is an enemy among us, and maybe it is our own leaders. Maybe there's something behind that. And when people start to realize for themselves, and people are red-pilled, and they go, what's going on here? Then it's been over a year, and now you can come out and there'll be much less unrest, let's say, in the process. So he's letting people see for themselves what's going on and decide that they actually want this to happen. Well, the idea being, it is happening now. This is coming to a head. You'll keep seeing things saying, not anymore are they saying the storm is coming. The storm is here. It is now. It is happening now. And if I went on to say all of the things that I think are going on, we would lose an awful lot of ears. So I'm just going to let people discover this for themselves. But please, people, go look into it and see. Why was Cheyenne Mountain locked up? Really? Why are they still locked up to this day, 2 years later, They're still locked in that mountain. If we have a commander in chief besides our president, guess who NORAD and the people in that mountain are reporting to? Why did all military communications get routed through Space Force just recently? Just recently. That's never happened in history, ever. All military communications are now routed through Space Force. Guess who put Space Force in place? Yep, the Orange Man himself. So you'll start to see these ties. Now you're going to start hearing about people being arrested and detained. There's some people that'll say the White House has been empty since they fenced it off. Why would it be empty if those people hadn't been arrested? Are there figureheads in place? Are there actors playing people in our government? And you think you're looking at Biden and maybe it's somebody else? I don't know. But an awful lot of evidence is starting to come to light. And over the next few weeks to the next few months, things are going to get really intense. My underlying message here is don't be drawn in by the fear. Don't promulgate violence yourself. Watch it play out. Try not to panic and just look for the ties. See what's going on for yourself. Okay? Do not step out in your street with an AK. Don't do things like that. Resist as best you can, but don't buy into their game. Don't let the fear put you in action. Act from a calm, centered place and look at what's going on and try to understand it. Do your research. It's out there. You don't have to dig very far to see it. Some of the key words that we've mentioned tonight will be the best way to look into it. Juan of Savin is a good one. The idea, I'm going to say this word one more time, devolution, look into it. Just tie the pieces together, put the puzzle together and see what you come up with and watch the news. I'm especially keeping an eye on CNN because I want to see what happens with this new owner and the way that they say they're going to be changing it. Because, you know, if they take CNN and Twitter at the same time, guess what? Most of their platform just got a wide gaping hole shot in it. Okay, that's all I got to say about that.
Okay, thank you. While you were talking, I was like, when it comes to the storm, and probably just those two words, the storm, is probably going to get us banned. I'm actually.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that was.
No, it probably will. I don't know. I don't know if it will or not. We're still broadcasting live, so I still see us on my phone.
Okay.
So
that's a good sign.
That's a good sign. But I was actually looking for the letter before R, the original videos that they posted back in 2017.
From all the drops of.
Yeah. There was like a. Oh, I'm going to search for something else here. Let's go off topic a little bit here. Hold on, off. Mm-hmm. Original Q letter before R video. Man,
that picture. While you're doing that picture that I put up there, the link to with the orange man in front of the flag. Did you look at that yet?
Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah.
Put that up for people to see, because I'm going to talk about it for just a second.
Hold on a second. Just let me have a minute here. Let me see if I can find the original video that I want to find here, because the original letter before our videos were the ones that really inspired me, and they've been wiped off the internet.
Oh yeah,
they've been wiped, dude. You have no idea. Well, I'm sure you do, but
I call that scrubbed.
I'm gonna actually search for them. I think I have them stored on my computer here, my iDrive or whatever on Apple. Gosh, hold on. What's it called?
What? You have an Apple device?
Yes, I know. Apple's, despite the politics of most of the people that work there, they still are pretty agnostic. I've never had anything like removed from my files. You know,
I have nothing against things, but I've always said I will never become a member of the iNation.
I'm really trying to find this original.
That was back in the day, and it was a technological ideology that prevented me from that. I was strictly Linux. I didn't like Microsoft. I didn't like Apple. But if I had to use something, it was going to be Microsoft because it was in the mainstream and we were in the technology industry. You can't get around it. If you're in the arts and media, then you would be an Apple person, of course. But we weren't, and most of the world was all about Microsoft. We tried to stick to Unix and Linux, of course, but
Right. The more just agnostic system that just didn't care. I'm really
yeah.
trying to find this video, dude. I'm on Rumble right now.
Well, good luck, man.
I'm on Rumble, which is they post whatever you want, but I can't even find it on there.
I'm not surprised.
Well, let me see if this link sort of looks like.
That would be an interesting project to try to archive things like that. What about the Internet Archive?
No, I have it. I have it downloaded. I know I have it somewhere. I just don't know where yet. Let me see if this is it.
Well,
Hold on.
happy, what day is it? Oh, Thursday.
I
Happy
don't think this is
Thursday,
it.
everyone.
No, it doesn't
It's
sound like it. What the, dude? I'm getting angry now. Hold on.
Well, good luck, man. I have no confidence that you'll ever find any of that stuff. That's why I say it would be an interesting project to try to get an archive of those things. You know it's out there somewhere. I don't have the connections I used to have, so I might not have any luck myself on something like that.
Yeah, it's like the first organic match that came up was a letter before our Into the Storm official website for the HBO series, which is like trashing them. There's a Wikipedia article. Let's see, what year was that? That's 2022. It's maddening, man. I can't find it. And I remember those videos so vividly. And the videos had nothing, there was nothing that was spoken that was like negative. It was trying to raise up all people of all races, of all political persuasions, that's what it was all about. There
Are you
was
saying they threw labels out?
yes, labels out. There was no negativity. All those videos that I remember that I'm trying to find now, you can't find them anymore. But they were all like super positive. Like, I got to be careful. But
Yeah.
let's realize the mistakes that we've made over the years and correct them. You know, I got to be careful. Yeah, I can't say like the 5-letter word that starts with F, you know, like F-I, you know. I got to just be careful because they'll strike me here again. I don't want to be striked until next
You can say
weekend.
the letter before G.
Yeah, the letter before G. I'm going to find it. Dude, if it's the last thing I do, I want to find it now, but I almost have to go off to a BitTorrent site. Let me go off to the Pirate Bay. I'm going to the Pirate Bay right
Put that
now
picture
on
up.
the air. I'm going to the Pirate Bay, and I'm going to put in the word I need to put in, the letter before R.
The website that will never die.
Yeah, it's always there, dude. I love it.
Well, I thought Demonoid was the same, and I was
Okay,
sad to
here it
see
is. It's called The Letter Before R Anon, After the Storm. And this is actually like the 2022. There's no cedars though, man. There's like no cedars. And only one leecher.
Surprise, surprise.
Damn it. What the F, dude, man? I'm like,
We'll look into that over the next couple of weeks, man. I'll be with
maybe
you on
that'll be
that.
the next one. Okay, so okay. So we've talked about everything we've talked about. I was away for a few minutes and I knew you were getting into some stuff.
A little bit. I was just trying to tie a few things together that I had mentioned before. Because if you can get your head around the idea that the commander-in-chief has been working behind the scenes all this time with that group and many others around the world on draining the swamp worldwide, if you could even believe that that's possible, then you definitely want to look into these things. Can you put that picture up that I put in there for the flag?
Yeah, let me do that.
You remember you mentioned just before we went on air the rally in Ohio?
Yeah. Hold
That's
on.
where that picture's from. It's from that same rally.
From that same one, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I got it pulled up. The one with him with the fist up.
Now, what do you notice about that picture?
The stars.
Where are they?
They're not white. They're like black
They're
stars.
covered up.
Yeah,
They're covered up with a quilted pattern. Do you know what a
right.
flag with no stars means?
Probably something negative.
Almost nobody knows what that means except military people.
I don't know that. I know the upside down flag. That's like a country in distress or whatever.
Well, this is even further. This is a country that's been invaded by a foreign power and has declared a war footing because of it. Okay, this is a military emblem. That's why I suggested that you might want to browse through the DoD Law of War manual.
I just pulled up I just pulled up the flag of distress too, which is the upside down American flag. So
Well, try to find something on the flag with the no stars. It will tell you that that is a military symbol. There's the idea that in all of his since he didn't concede the election, the first thing that happened, if you watch, I'm going to go back and watch this myself now that I've got this understanding. Do you know that military people understand that Biden did not have an inauguration ceremony? That the military gave him a funeral at his inauguration. If you watch what the military does, the actions that they take, the things that they don't do, the uniforms they're wearing, and all aspects of that, Biden was given a military funeral at his inauguration.
that's actually sort of funny because
It is funny.
the other person that I used to broadcast here with her, JC, we actually broadcasted almost live during the inauguration. It's on a different channel. It's not here on my channel, but yeah, we just how curious it was, how weird it was. You know, they had all those flags because there weren't many people there, so they had all these flags down the mall in Washington D.C. Big giant flags and stuff. It was just creepy as hell, dude. How they had all these flags instead of people. There were very few people actually there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to send you the link to our original broadcast. We really got into that. And then just the way he was talking, like as he was walking up, you know, to go up the stairs to like give his speech or whatever. Very weird stuff, man.
So the idea being that is the most recent obvious symbol and sign in one of his publicly broadcast speeches, where he's giving hand gestures and certain emblems and objects and certain references that are meaningful to military people, that if you know what you're looking at, you can get the messages that he's sending surreptitiously in his broadcasts. And there's a whole thing about that. If you take a look at that, it's pretty much undeniable. If you look at it in military documentation and you know somebody that you can ask about these things in the military, you read their manuals, you will see these things in his speeches. And it becomes pretty clear and obvious once you look into it. Let's say, look at Melania's dress when he was exiting office.
Right.
Let's just say that, because her dress was basically a flag, and that's all I'll say about that one. Hand gestures that he's given. The one scene where he walked in front of the Queen, you know, that's a big no-no. That was very symbolic too, where he walked in front of the Queen. You're not allowed to do that. He blatantly did it. Okay, all these things are symbols and messages. All you got to do is take a look, get informed, watch it for yourself, try to put the pieces together. That flag right there, that is so obvious. It couldn't be any more obvious. Who in the hell puts a flag up there? I can send you in the next picture where he did the front-facing view that you're showing now. There's another one where he turned and put his fist up to the flag to draw specific attention to it.
Let me play a video real quick. It's
I'm going to give you that.
Are you familiar with bad lip reading on YouTube?
Here's the other. Oh yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Great.
Go ahead. I'll look at your link here. Okay. Okay, the back facing, yeah. Yeah, I see that. Let me put it up on the broadcast here. Yeah, so that's the same thing, but him looking back. So you're familiar with the bad lip reading people?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm going to play the inauguration day, a bad lip reading of Donald Trump's inauguration
Okay.
5 years ago. I'm going to play a little bit of that. It's only about 4 minutes, but I think it's a little bit of comic relief here. And people who are, I don't know if you have another device and you can pull up the live stream and watch it, but
Oh yeah. I have 3 screens here of real
okay.
estate.
Yeah. Pull it up on another screen and watch it. I'm going to go ahead and hit play now.
It's not so important.
Should have worn
Oh,
my shoulder
surprise!
pads.
I have
now-
some pretzels for
Melania,
you.
do you know what you just said?
Well, you're cheery.
Me? I'm always like this.
Oh yeah, sure.
You're certainly not going to be.
When can I see
You're
you
bad
walk
company.
away? Can't wait.
You suck. Now's your chance.
Well,
Call
you
it
can
off.
be a funny wiener, can't you? I'm important. You want to be me, don't you? Quite a figure. Quite a figure. And no.
Looks like we have a problem.
Yeah, leave it to me. Okay, we're gonna squeeze him. Hadouken. Hadouken to your face. Harubababa. Are you wearing a big boy shirt?
Yeah, I probably never will again.
Help. I'm gonna barf. You ever washed that wig?
You got me again, George.
Yeah.
Good one.
That is a zinger. I like your nail polish, but not too much. Now pretend I like you, but I hate you inside.
You're a creep.
I think you're old like dirt.
Repeat after me. I make grease pellets in my sweat.
I make grease pellets in my sweat.
I was disappointed they didn't find the continent of Atlantis yet.
I was disappointed they didn't find the continent of Atlantis yet.
That's
The new
Mike
kid
Pence.
smells like falafel and wants to shave my mustache.
The new kid smells like falafel and wants to shave my mustache.
So did Aunt Belinda.
So did Aunt Belinda.
Shake hand. You crushed it.
You think?
No, I'm teasing you.
Well-
You look depressed.
I don't feel good. Now raise your shrunken hand and repeat after me. I gotta get a grip. You saw me squat.
I gotta get a grip. You saw me squat.
You think I won't fling 3 eggs at you?
You think I won't fling 3 eggs at you?
The goldfish of preteens never had a chance.
The goldfish of preteens never had a chance.
I personally have puked at a cage fight.
I personally have puked at a cage fight.
Then I chewed an awful lot of cheese,
Then I chewed an awful lot of cheese.
and I stored it in my
I
gut.
stored it in my gut.
What's your name?
Together, we will build a bar in rural Connecticut, and we will make it a bar with a nanny, and we will make it a bar called Brown Lady, and we will make it a bar that has stuff in it and extra good leather. When you want to make a bad day a greater day, then come to Brown Lady. Now let's party. No music, just me. You know what I want later? A hamburger and milk duds and not fish.
Good old fun.
Yay!
That's Mike Pence.
I'm also gonna need you to scrape my bunions.
Yes, good.
The guy's the boss, you know, so
Just remember who brought you here.
thank you, my prince. Thank you.
I win!
You know you
I win. I just had to play that. Just had to.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, really is. Bad lip reading. As humorous as it is, it's parody again, sort of like the Babylon Bee that I talked about earlier. It's parody, but you can sort of imagine early in the video when him and like Obama and Melania and let me go back to that when they're talking, you can sort of imagine them actually saying those things. You know?
Yeah, right.
When it's so absurd, when the divide between Donald Trump, Melania, and Obama and Michelle are so absurd that they would probably say something like that.
Do you know what you just said?
Well, you're cheery.
Me? I'm always like this.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You're certainly not going to be.
When can I see
You're
you
bad
walk
company.
away? Can't wait.
You suck.
You suck. They were probably actually saying that. That wasn't bad lip reading. That was probably real lip reading. So I don't know. I don't know where we're going here. We're about an hour and 20 minutes
Yeah, I think
in.
we're winding down now because
A little bit. I
basically
know.
got my piece for now. I'd really like to have time to vet a few more things and tie a few other pieces together.
No, if you want to, go ahead. I'm more than happy, but
No, I'm good. I think I've basically said it's enough for people to look into. That's really my only point is to bring some awareness to what may be going on right now and to have people look into it because I really think over the next few weeks and few months things are going to come to a head.
Okay, well, let's actually go back to something we talked about in the pre-show or whatever. We talked about just like I think you said your sister was. I'm sort of a nuclear war pessimist that the nuclear war is going to happen or whatever. Let's go to that now. You told me before the cast started that you don't think it's going to happen, and I want you. Let me give a couple reasons why I think it might, because based on our previous, conversation before the cast, I went to the news. I was out at the local pub, as I usually am on a weekend night or whatever, and I pulled up the mainstream media through the Drudge Report and through various other channels, and many of them were saying that like what was it, Zelensky and Putin, between them, Zelensky supposedly asked NATO for permission to for a nuclear strike on Russia, and
Right.
and Putin, he doesn't have to ask anybody; he could just do it. But one of them has to do it first, and so it sounds like over the weekend here, tonight being a Friday night, it's still only 10:30. Good Lord, it's only 10:30. I'm probably going to do another podcast on my own after this, but it's only 10:30. But you have the news articles talking about these world leaders wanting to strike each other and stuff. So. And then, like I mentioned, Tim Pool earlier, he's like a moderate, sort of middle of the road guy who's gone toward the right because the left has left him behind, as we talked about.
Kind of like Elon Musk.
Yeah, sort of like exactly the same as Elon Musk, because he mentioned Elon when that all happened. When Elon posted a little graph of the left and the right.
That's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
And he even said, not only did he say these words, but now you hear a lot of people saying it. I didn't leave the left.
The left left me.
Left me. Yes. It's true.
So you got that. And then, and then after I saw Tim Pool post this stuff, and then a couple of the mainstream medias, I'm like, man, what's going on here? When people like Tim Pool and people like the mainstream media are agreeing with each other that there's an imminent chance of a nuclear war, of the nuclear apocalypse and stuff. Me personally, I want to believe it, but you told me before the cast you don't, and I want you to go into why you think it won't happen.
Well, it basically boils down to one thing. Their number one tool, and when I say they, you know who I'm talking about, no ideology, no labels, the cabal, the global elitists. Their number one tool is fear and division. Okay, primarily fear. They always want you to be in fear of something because you can control people and herd them like cattle, like sheeple, into whatever it is that you want. You can make them want what you want simply by fomenting fear in certain areas. Oh, we want to have a military state. Okay, well, we'll cause some event like a, what they may call a false flag event, and then people will want military rule, so they make this happen, and everybody goes, we need military rule, and they're like, oh, really? What a great idea! Let's do that. And that's what they wanted to begin with. Fear is their number one control tool, their number one tactic. All their strategies are built around fear. And this is the biggest one. Do you really think that anybody on this planet really wants a nuclear conflagration around the world? Of course they don't.
No.
Think about what that's going to do. We all know what that would be. That would be almost the annihilation of people in general.
Mutually assured destruction.
How would they maintain control after that? Who would they control after that? It wipes it all out, effectively. So do you really think they're going to shoot themselves in the ass to do something like that?
Well, again, it goes back to the mutually assured destruction doctrine of the Cold War.
Yes. Now, here's the sort of corollary to that. I don't know how to word this exactly.
Just spit it out, man.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be a little bit careful about how far I go and what words I use. Okay, they use fear, but then in general, let's say if it's mainstream media, and let's not talk about Poole. I don't know much about him, so I'm not going to include him, but let's say mainstream media, where most of this talk is coming from. I believe the opposite of what I hear in mainstream media. Why? Because every freaking time they say something, the opposite turns out to be true. On all topics, they talk one thing, and the total exact polar opposite is the truth. And if they're saying there's going to be a nuclear war, I would bet my ass there will not be, just on that alone. Now, am I saying that nobody's going to toss a tactical nuke out there and cause problems? No, I believe that's very possible. But is there going to be an all-out nuclear war, World War III, wipe out the planet? No, it's not going to happen. That's primarily why I say that. Excuse me.
But if you take, okay, I just thought of this just right now. If you take somebody like Joe Biden, who's, as we saw in the opening scenes of this cast, how gaunt he is, and then you take somebody like Putin, who, if you believe the propaganda about him, he's probably, I don't either, but they're saying that he's like on the edge of his rule. If you listen to like the Drudge Report, there's like inner fighting among his ranks or whatever. They say it might be his last birthday. I think. Let me pull that up. Let me type in. I think it's his birthday recently, and they're saying this is going to be his last one. So if you have somebody like Biden who is so far gone that he's probably not going to make it much longer, and then you have like, if you believe the propaganda, which we don't, about Putin being his last one, you have two world leaders of the two greatest superpowers on earth who everybody's saying it's the end of their time or whatever, and they're going to go out with a bang. They're going to go out with a bang rather than what's the term? Go out with a bang rather than fade away, whatever it is.
Oh yeah, out with a bang rather than a whimper.
Yeah. So that's you gotta look at that a little bit. I mean,
I looked at it, I discounted it.
I just think there's something more. I don't know. I'm trying to pull up like an article, but okay. Vladimir Putin. Yeah, it's his birthday right now, October 7th, 1952. So he's 70 years old.
No kidding.
Yeah, 70 years old today. Happy birthday, Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Russian politician and former intelligence officer who has been serving as the president of Russia since 2012.
Well, again, I will be careful how I state this for a couple reasons. Number one, no strikes, please.
Yeah, I'll
And
try not
number
to.
Number two, I don't want to just turn people off because I'm going to say something controversial.
I don't care.
I don't believe the hype about Putin or about what's happening in his country or about Ukraine or Zelensky or what's happening in his country.
It's all
I'm trying to-
propaganda, man.
Well, yeah, well, maybe not all of it because we do have some inside information, right? You more so than I, of course. So we know some of these things are true, but it's so easy for them to take a small bit of truth and turn it into a blatant lie and try to lead people to believe what they want them to believe. Here's one thing you might look at. Did you know that they are now trying to basically say, if you don't agree with them about Putin and Russia and Ukraine, then you're a terrorist.
Right. Yeah, I saw that.
You're the problem. Now, that accusation and that ideal right there that they're trying to put forth right now, that alone tells me that there's probably an opposite truth behind it. Is Putin really a bad guy? I don't think it's to the extent that they're trying to make it out to be. No. Is Zelensky such a good guy? No, I don't think that's to the extent they're trying to make it out to be either. Their ulterior motives behind what you're hearing is completely laid bare by what they're trying to force you to believe.
Based on
Would
what
they
you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Would they have to force you to believe this and threaten you and try labeling you if it was absolutely true? Wouldn't that be a natural reaction? If it was true, you would already believe it. You would find out, you would know, and you would believe it. They don't have to try to force you. Why are they trying to force you to believe this?
That's exactly the message that, yeah, exactly. So Vladimir Putin he's a nationalist. Russia first. Zelensky, no, hold on. Zelensky, he's Ukrainian. He's Ukrainian first.
He's an actor. Did you know that?
I know. Yeah. He
came from a TV series.
I know.
That is exactly the life he's playing now.
But right, exactly. No, I agree. But
Crazy.
What I'm saying though is that Putin, Zelensky, they're both putting their country first, which is good. That's a good thing. For them respectively, between their countries, putting your country people first is a good thing. Now, you may not agree with one side or the other. It's a back and forth, but they're both in their own minds are trying to do what's best for their country. And if you go back to now I got to be careful. The president prior than B.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back to our good old president in the prior administration, he was the same way. They're all the same way. America first, Russia first, Ukraine first. It's all the same thing, They're doing everything they can to defend their own belief systems, their own economy, their own people. It's hard to even go on from that because every one of these, and then even presidents in other countries like Brazil, Mexico, all across the world, and a lot of people actually, I think it was, if you go back to the President Trump, I'll go ahead and say his name, President Trump. I don't care. If you go back to his days, you remember the whole shithole country comment?
Mm-hmm.
Shithole countries in Africa. Trump, actually, one of those presidents, I forget what country it was. I want to say Uganda, or it wasn't Nigeria. I think it was Uganda. That president actually said Trump is right. we are a shithole country. He's not saying anything we don't already know. Our country is in poverty. It's desperate. And Trump is actually bringing this out. He's actually telling the world, we need help. We need help. It's just...
I think that what you're saying about Russia and Putin and Zelensky, I believe that more so of Putin than I do Zelensky.
No, I agree. Yes, absolutely.
These days I'm tending to believe more that Zelensky is playing a part and that Putin is way more genuine. And I don't think he's as crazy as people are making him out to be. Here's the thing. Actually weeks ago, I believe, Putin turned his attention from the Ukraine to the West.
Right.
You heard about this, how there was a speech, I don't know, maybe an hour long or more, where he was talking on and on and on. It was a full 15 or 20 minutes before he even mentioned Ukraine. His entire point was that he's now turning his attention to the people supporting Ukraine in the West, meaning basically us and the United Nations to an extent.
Right.
Okay.
How we've been brainwashed into supporting the Ukrainians.
Now, here's the thing. How many years before any of this came to a head, long before the Big T and all those people, I had on my mind a disgust with my own nation. I love my nation. I love the people in it. I didn't like my leaders, any of them. I didn't like what we do around the world and the way we tend to go in and just blow shit up and then take over a country economically. That's a fact right there. Anybody that can deny that probably doesn't want to watch this podcast. I was disgusted with the way, and then I got to thinking, well, it's no wonder the world hates us. Because at that time, practically the whole world did hate us. Because that's what we tend to do all the time. We're constantly out there trying to police the world and militarize everything and make everyone into a so-called democracy.
Police and please the world.
Yeah. So is it so unbelievable that Putin really believes that firmly about the West? It's not unreasonable to think that he believes that firmly at all, or that he's maybe even right about that when our country's own citizens are having similar thoughts. What the hell are we doing out there in all these countries, doing all these wars and doing all the crap that we do all around the world? Why can't we focus on America? Why don't we just make America great? I mean, to be blunt, to turn the phrase,
Make America great again. Yeah. So I just said
first.
4 keywords. That's gonna get probably this knocked off. But
for years it was America first, right?
Again, it comes back to every president of every country should put their people first.
Yeah.
That's their job. That's what they were elected for.
Right.
And, even if you don't believe that Putin was elected, and all the Russian channels I watch, a lot of Russians support him. A lot of people who we know in our own channels, if you know what I mean.
So a lot of people in the Ukraine, which they don't really want you to know.
But every president's job is to put his or her countries first. That's just the way it's supposed to be, and they're all doing that in their own way, but they're conflicting, and they need to me and some friends always joked about we need to get all the world leaders together, give them some weed, some pot. That's not weed, that's just a cigarette, but give them something, have them smoke something, take some mind altering substance.
Can't we all just get along?
Can't we all just get along? Let's just, it's crazy. But, yeah, so that's just the way it needs to be. Through the YouTube channels that I've talked about, the Ivan guy and other people that I know, everybody, if you cut the government out of the equation, people just want to get along.
Oh yeah,
they want to.
Any country,
yes,
just like you and me.
They just want to be one people. They just want to get along with each other.
The world is sick of this shit, dude.
When my friend Ivan got to Turkey, he was sort of surprised. He saw license plates from Russia, from the Ukraine, from Georgia, from all these different places. He was just happy to see everybody.
Mm-hmm.
In Turkey, like getting out of the war zone, getting out of the places that they shouldn't be. You know,
the time is certainly right for the worldwide swamp to be drained. That's definitely
worldwide. Yes, the C word, the cabal, they need to fall. And
yeah, it's not going to be pretty, but we're just going to have to man up, get through it, and see what comes out on the other side, you know.
But you don't, going back to this, you don't think the nuclear war is going to happen, though, right?
No, the short answer to your question is absolutely not. Like I said, that's not to discount the idea that some tactical nukes may be dropped here and there.
Okay, so some smaller ones here
false
and there.
flag operations and fear mongering and whatnot, trying to manipulate the worldwide theater.
Okay,
Yeah,
like a dirty bomb in Kiev or whatever.
Yeah, just things like that can certainly happen. But this worldwide, oh my God, the nuclear threat, oh my God, you all need to be in fear. Bullshit. I'm going to have more fear that in this transition, not the one that they are talking about, but the real transition that's happening behind the scenes of all this, I'm more in fear that people are going to walk down my street with civil unrest. I'm going to have to defend my own home during this transition for a month or 2 months or 6 months or whatever before we finally get through it all. That's my bigger fear. Am I going to be able to feed myself? Am I going to have water? Will there be electricity to heat my home in the wintertime? Those are the things I'm in fear of right now. That's why I started prepping.
Yeah, let me follow up on that a little bit. I actually ran across a video from a young female, excuse me, in Austria, who she was. I think she was a new YouTuber. She hasn't been in it for long, but because of everything going on in like Germany, the Nord Stream, the whole fuel shortage and crisis, she was posting about how a lot of people in Austria, because of inflation and prices and everything, they didn't have enough money to heat their homes over the winter. It's getting cold up there in Austria. Austria is like higher than Germany, I guess. It's like Germany, Austria, then like Switzerland. It gets much more expensive to do anything. But she was in her car saying, well, she moved into her car. She's like one of the, not a van lifer, but I guess she's like a car lifer or whatever. But she said that people can't afford it. They can't afford it anymore. And because it's gotten so crazy in Austria. And now in Austria, you know, they're not, a lot of people bought like wood stoves, you know, for their homes. But you cannot go to a public forest in Austria and collect dead wood, because even the dead wood you're collecting it from private property. It's government property. It's private.
Yeah.
And
same around here. You can't just go cut trees down on public property or in national forests.
Well, for her, it wasn't even cutting it down. It was just collecting dead wood from the forest floor. You can't do that in Austria. So again, most people in Austria bought like a wood stove, but they can't even get wood. The wood, if you want to buy wood from the local gas station or the local market or whatever, it's super expensive. They can't afford it. So
you should get on Amazon and order those wood pellets.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But she was just like saying that they can't even do that anymore, and it's becoming hard. And so she said she had in her home, she has a wood stove, and she said despite the Austrian government regulations or whatever, she still sees people out there collecting wood anyway, and good for them. It's wood, dude.
Yeah.
It's wood from the earth. You know, the government should not be able to regulate that. And I know here in Kentucky and here in the United, and she actually made that a point to say that's not the case in the United States. You can go out to a park in the United States and you can just collect whatever you want. So she was saying how good it was here. Now, but on the same hand, not a lot of people in the United States have gotten wood stoves at the same time. So we're probably going to be much harder off over the winter than they will there, because they're breaking the law. They're breaking their government's laws about.
I think Germany's going to have it toughest right now because they put all their eggs in Putin's basket, and then the pipeline got blown up.
Exactly.
We're going to be freezing to death in Europe.
Yeah.
This winter's going to be rough on a lot of people.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out. Stay online with me here, but I'm going to go ahead and cut out for the night, man. So it's great podcast, man. This was a really good one, and I might do another one on Sunday here with a crypto guy that I talked about and stuff. So let me go ahead and fade out, and I'll follow up with you after. Sound good?
Sounds good. Don't buy into the fear, people.
Yeah. Take care, everybody. Have a good night, and peace out.